Did you click the microphone thingy? Like, it allows you to share, yeah.
For some reason. Microphone. Oh, duh. I was pressing. Okay, that's very, very weird. So the unmute, Josh, is the microphone canceled out. Duh. I was pressing. Okay, that's very okay. Weird. Okay, so sound works. The unmute, Josh, is the microphone. All right, Josh. Are you ready for this, Joshua?
Never call me Joshua ever again.
Listen, Joshua, I'm going to do as I please. Go ahead, call me by my full name, Joshua.
No.
Alright, are you ready, Josh?
Let me sit up. Fuck.
Has to sit up to talk. Not getting enough airflow. Alright, you can start the introductions, Big G.
Why me?
Ladies first. All this is getting cut out. Once we start the introductions, then I'm gonna go back and cut it and edit it.
I don't know what the fuck to say.
You just say, hello, my name is Joshua. I, for some dumb epileptic reason, prefer... I, for some dumb epileptic reason, choose Miles Morales to be my favorite Spider-Man. And then we go from there.
He's not my favorite.
Well, then introduce yourself and explain who your favorite is. I told you we're doing... You didn't read the text message.
No, I did.
Alright, I'm gonna start building a house.
Why can't you start it off?
Listen, Josh, I don't make the rules. Spruce. Alright, fine. Ready, Josh?
Yeah.
Let me fist this box of pops real quick and we can get going. Oh, I just hit my leg against the table. I bet you this is gonna be way better than the Frosted Flakes, Josh.
No. I didn't even realize, I didn't even realize I was eating, I was just stuffing my face. I won't have a clear answer for my favorite is until, the marathon this weekend.
Alright. Ready, Josh? I just finished fisting this box of pops.
Alright.
Alright. What's going on, G's? This is Webheads. I'm Darren.
I know you did not just say G's.
Listen, you can like Miles Morales and I can call people G's. What I do.
One's a war crime, one's an opinion.
Wait. How is it a war crime? I just said G's.
Don't say it again, dude.
Okay, what's going on, my peeps? Josh has left the party. Oh yeah. What's going on? Welcome to the podcast, I guess. This is Darren, our Big Drip, and today I have special guest and co-host Josh.
Needs.
Is that special guest? But yes, you're a wee bit special needs. Anyways, so on this podcast, we will be discussing Spider-Man and what the MCU has in store for that guy. And then we'll constantly argue about who's the best and, constantly tell each other they're wrong, and by constantly telling each other, I mean me telling Josh he's wrong. All right, Josh, you want to start off
I
today?
don't care about opinions.
Josh, you want to start us off today?
Sure.
Who's your favorite Spider-Man?
My favorite Spider-Man is Porky Pig. He does a fantastic job of portraying whatever he is.
Porky Pig. You got to explain that a little deeper. I didn't know Porky Pig was a Spider-Man.
I forgot what his fucking name is.
Peter Porker.
Yeah.
So, can you elaborate on to us why you like him so much?
I like pigs a lot. I like bacon.
Okay, cut the shit. Okay, we know you like Miles Morales. Okay, we just
I
argued
don't
for
like
like
Miles
45 minutes. No.
It's not
Don't you go
45
taking this
minutes
back now.
before.
We are not
It's like
taking this
40
back.
minutes.
We are not
It's like
taking this
40
back.
minutes.
Nope. You said Miles Morales is your favorite. You're sticking with that answer. Either that or Skater Boy. Th-
Andrew Garfield's my favorite, okay?
Okay.
Andrew Garfield, the amazing Spider-Man.
Okay. Now we're gonna sit here for the next 45 minutes and explain to Josh why he's wrong. So why do you pick him, Josh? I don't think I've ever asked you why you liked him. Besides the fact that, you guys have something in common.
Yeah, I say I'm pretty amazing.
That's
But,
not the reason.
I skateboard. I used to skateboard a lot.
Okay, is that literally it? Is that all you have in common with him?
Bro, no. Yeah, I can climb walls. It's fine. But I actually like his portrayal on Peter Parker a lot.
Interesting.
Something different.
Agreed. I definitely think it's different. Like, I'll always agree there that Andrew Garfield brings something different to the table. I just will always argue that I don't like what he brought. I don't like how he portrayed Peter Parker. Peter Parker is... He almost had too much confidence. It's hard to explain because it's...
What do you mean? Because he stuttered for 5 minutes talking to Gwen Stacy.
Well, as soon as she started talking to him, he immediately turned into, like, the biggest talker ever. Tobey Maguire, stutters even after they are together. So, like, it's like, you gotta understand the difference between the two.
Garfield didn't have the chance to stutter.
Yeah, you're right, because he was too busy trying to be a cool Spider-Man.
No, because she's dead.
Oh, that too. Yeah, your boy ain't got no hands. But that's besides the point. So, like, other than the fact that I just didn't like the way he portrayed him, is just, you gotta understand that coming from where my standpoint is with Tobey Maguire, the greatest Spider-Man to ever be portrayed, in multiple people's opinion, it's just a lot different. And then you have people that read the comic books who even agree at the level of I can't say intensity he brought to the role, but like the level of, again, confidence. Like, he just almost seemed like he knew he was better than everybody. Like, it's hard to explain without sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about, because I do. It's just he almost made me feel like he wasn't Peter Parker. He actually he gave off a very Miles Morales-esque vibe when it came to playing Peter Parker. He was very down to earth. He had some friends. Like, Peter Parker's alone. He has Harry. That was about it. Some had, like, Ned Leeds. You've got what's his name in the game? I forgot. Banky. Banky. Yeah. You got him. Like, you got always like that kind of one extra, but you never really have too many people on his side. So to see Andrew Garfield just kind of step to the plate and be like, yeah, well, I don't feel like dealing with that. I'm just gonna do me. Kind of angered me.
Well, he didn't become Spider-Man until it was towards the end of the first film.
when he pulled the biggest douchebag move I've ever seen in my entire life?
No, when he saved the child from the car. That moment, he stopped being like a vigilante and actually like decided to become Spider-Man. Like he's not Spider. Like just because he has the suit on doesn't mean he's Spider-Man.
Hmm. Which we have found out on multiple occasions with people like Doc Ock when he took over Spider-Man's body, and he wasn't really Spider-Man. He was just he had to play the part.
After when Stacy died, it affected him a lot too. It made him grow up and realize that he has to be Spider-Man.
I feel like he almost didn't want the responsibility after that. Like he almost seemed to not care as much. And when it came down to the finer things, to where he had to be Spider-Man, he's like, whatever. Like I guess I'll just deal with it. I didn't like that. He almost felt like he was being forced to be Spider-Man. If you see what I'm saying. Do you get me? You see what I'm saying?
Not
Or like
really.
that he was only Spider-Man to like I don't know. He almost it almost felt like he deserved Gwen. Like he had earned her, and once she was gone, he no longer was like, well,
Well,
like
she hit on him,
so.
so like he got beat up by Flash, right?
Okay. Which Tobey Maguire
And
did.
then, all right,
I was just saying that to piss you off.
but then his camera was broken and Gwen gave it to him, like picked everything up and gave it to him and like asked him how it was, you know.
Okay.
But he's not like the fact that I like he's not like he's kind of like punk in a way.
Yeah, like I said, he's a different kind of Spider-Man.
So why do you like Tobey Maguire?
Okay, I hope you got yourself all set up. I like Tobey
I like
Maguire.
don't get me wrong. Hang on before you start. Don't get me wrong. I like Tobey Maguire a lot.
Is that it, Josh? Is that it?
Yeah, just to know that I respect him.
See, I like Tobey Maguire because he shows a lot of things. He shows you okay. Besides the fact that he's 22 in high school, he looks odd. He doesn't look like he belongs there. Like you could see, he kind of distances himself. Even when he's in school, he's not always with Harry, and you see how he interacts with other people. You get to see how when he's in the lunchroom, when he first gains his abilities. The only reason he has a conversation with Mary Jane is because his spider sense goes off, and it just kind of forces him to get up and catch the plate, which he did. No CGI. He seemed like a very relatable character for some people. Sure, there were people who were like Andrew Garfield that were cool in high school, but they wouldn't have been the same kind of Spider-Man. You can't change the persona behind Spider-Man. Spider-Man is someone who's willing to help anybody at any time. Like he's got no favoritism. He'll help who's got to help to get the day done. I forgot my piece. I liked Andrew Garfield because he didn't there was not he had, who did he have to stand up to? The Japanese actor? That was who he had to stand up to?
Wait, what?
And there was the early Japanese Spider-Man. Remember him? I forgot who he's played by. He's played by some guy in early Japan. They made a Spider-Man movie. And
That was old.
But that's who he had to compete against. It wasn't really anything to like bear witness to. Whereas Andrew Garfield had to step up against the plate against Tobey Maguire, who portrayed him perfectly. He did. Tobey Maguire, after he was bit, didn't really change. Like what about his personality was still the same. He was always awkward. He seemed to not really fit in anywhere. His only friends were Harry, I do agree. I didn't like how MJ just so quickly sprung up to be his friend. That I didn't really like. Never really liked that fact that how easily coerced to being his friend she was. I get it. He kind of like sympathized with her outside in the trash cans in the first movie, and he told her, he's like, no, like I believe in you, like he kind of showed like we're in two different separate categories of the food chain, but I want to let you know, like, I believe in you. Like, don't listen to what anyone says. If you want to be an actress, be an actress. Like, like even when he said, I liked you in all the school plays. You're amazing. Like, he was there for her, even though they weren't really friends. Like, they were neighbors. Like, that was it. And that I didn't really like how quickly they went from being neighbors to friends. But besides that doesn't have anything to hinder on Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire himself just pulled it together. And could he have been funnier when he was messed up? Yes. Could he have been a little more swingy with his webs and as shown in newer content? Yes, he could have. Why not? It could be due to the fact that it's limited technology and pay for stunts, and it could be that. It could be due to the fact that they just didn't want to. There's a million factors that advocate for why he wasn't what he could have been, but there's also a bunch of reasons to advocate for why he was as good as he was. The reason why people such as myself enjoy watching those movies with such passion that we just don't see the reason to. Like, I don't mind the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I just don't like Andrew Garfield. I actually really like the new Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. It's just I like Tobey Maguire. That's my Spider-Man. I
We can
like
talk
it.
about that.
What?
I don't like Tom Holland.
You don't like Tom Holland? Go ahead. I
No.
actually did not know that.
You didn't know that?
I thought you liked Tom Holland.
There's a lot.
Let's hear
I
it,
don't
brother.
like. I don't like the fact that Peter Parker is supposed to have a difficult life,
Hmm.
and Tom Holland's character of Spider-Man hasn't showed that. He has had to go up against like a world-ending threat. Well, not really, but like a fake world-ending threat that Mysterio created.
He's
And
faced world-ending threats.
no, I was saying he was facing world-ending threats,
But
and he wasn't worried about. Well, because the Eternals were fake.
I'm talking about Infinity War, Endgame.
Yeah, I'm just using an example.
Okay, you're just okay. I thought you were trying to say he hasn't saved the world. I'm like, actually,
But
continue though. Sorry, my bad.
that whole entire movie was worried about a girl getting shot with a girl. He got asked by Nick Fury to save the world with him. That everyone's offline, and he's like, I just want to be a regular kid. Like, well, you're not. You're Spider-Man. You have to man up.
And that actually, I have to disagree with you there. That's a factor you have to put in. He's just a kid. It's not fair to throw the fate of the world into a kid's hands like that. Which I understand why Tom Holland was like, well, can't you call in the adults, the Avengers? He's like, everyone says up until now it's okay to have a 15-year-old kid just guard the neighborhoods, but as soon as everyone else wants to take a day off, then I can save the world. Like, I understand that tidbit where he just wants to be a kid. He's struggling between being Peter Parker and Spider-Man. That's something I didn't really see that with Andrew Garfield, the struggle between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He was always just kind of ready to do either or. I saw the struggle between Peter Parker and Spider-Man when he was in Spider-Man 2 when he was trying to be a good friend to Mary Jane Watson and see her shows, but he couldn't because every time it happened, Spider-Man had to come out. Or like in
What do
the
you mean?
like
Well, Andrew Garfield had a trouble time because of Gwen Stacy's dad. He was
yeah,
trying
that
to.
was that took what, a movie, and then that question was handled.
I vaguely remember the second movie.
Okay, so in the second movie, his the dad's not around. Sure, I remember in the
Did
first
he
scene,
die?
he died in the second. He died in the first movie. Captain Stacy died in the first movie.
Yeah, so.
Okay, yeah. So in his last wish, his very last wish to Peter Parker was, "Don't get my daughter involved." And what did Peter do at the end of that movie?
I forget the reason why she was there.
What do you mean?
It might have not been his fault.
What?
Um,
No, it is his fault. He said don't get her involved. And then at the end of the movie, he was going into class. He's like, "I'm sorry, I won't be late again. I promise." And the teacher was like, "Oh, promises aren't meant to be broken, Mr. Parker." And then he gets in her ear and whispers, "But those are the best ones, the ones you break." He broke the promise he made to Captain Stacy about keeping Gwen out of it, and he brought her into it.
do you have a clip? I don't remember that.
I mean, really, you don't. I'm not lying to you. Like, I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie.
No, I just don't remember it.
I mean, you could probably Google it, the Amazing Spider-Man ending. But I'm just saying, like, he says those are like the best promises. The best promises are the ones that you break. That's not very Spider-Man. That's not very Spider-Man. That seems pretty. Like, if you could argue that that's a fight between Spider-Man and Peter Parker, most definitely. But then again, that's. I personally don't see Spider-Man putting someone else's life in risk just because he felt like it. Like when Mary Jane found out that Tobey Maguire when Peter Parker was Spider-Man, he took his mask off to try to save an old friend, and then he just happened to, like, it just happened. Okay, he didn't pull it off in intent to show her that he was Spider-Man. He pulled it off trying to coerce an old friend to coming to the good side again, and it just so happened that when he saved Mary Jane Watson, he still didn't have his mask on. It's one of those things you gotta understand. Are you
The
watching the
ending?
video? Yeah, it's the very ending, like right before the credit scene.
The very ending is the Rhino.
That's of Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 1. At the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 1, when Captain Stacy's dying, he says to Peter, not Spider-Man, to Peter, don't get her involved, or don't bring her into this, or don't talk to my daughter. He wasn't talking to Spider-Man, he was talking to Peter Parker. And Peter Parker went out of his way at the end of that movie to be like, well, I made a promise, but the best promises are the ones that you break. He made that decision, and I just personally didn't like that about it. I really didn't like the fact that he just said, "Screw it, like whatever." I'm a horny teenager who needs to get his rocks off. Like, that's almost how I felt it was. Like, he chose lust over um like protection in the end. Like, being Spider-Man was only a bonus to him. It felt like watching him portray him. And that right there just kind of made me feel icky to watch him portray Spider-Man, who I've watched since I was a child and I love so dearly. Not to dish your boy or anything, but whereas Tobey Maguire constantly showed the conflict, like he wanted to tell Mary Jane so bad that he was Spider-Man, but he told himself, "I can't. It'll make it unsafe for her. I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it." Which I understood why he did it. He made it believable that he couldn't tell her. And I understood his reasoning behind wanting to. He really made it seem like he was in love with this girl that really had no connection with him, besides the fact that they went to school together and they were neighbors. Excuse me. Crafting tables are all the way up down here.
Hmm.
What?
Uh, I like it, or not that I like it, but like I watched it.
Okay.
I forgot that he made friends with Flash.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about that scene? Do you agree with me? Do you see why I'm like so?
I'm trying to think because you sure he wasn't like maybe
Dude,
it looked bad, but like he wasn't
listen.
talking about that though.
They put this in Spider-Man 2. They're together. Okay?
Yeah.
Therefore, he broke the promise.
Are you said? Are you sure? Like
Positive.
he said
That's
not to date her.
he said don't get her involved. Like don't get her involved. And he got her involved. Cuz Harry found out that he was in love with her. And then Harry brought her to the towers. Harry brought her to that Electrodome or whatever that thing's
Oh, so it wasn't his. Well, technically, he didn't get her involved. Harry did.
Yes he did because they were dating.
Well, I mean,
That's why
yeah,
in
the
the
same thing
first one,
happened to
Norman
MJ.
Osborn. That's why Norman Osborn told. Well, not Norman Osborn. That's why when when Norman was having his little Green Goblin Norman Osborn talk, that's why he told him you attack the heart, what he loves. So he attacked his Aunt May, and then he stole MJ.
I mean,
You
yeah, since they
take
both got stolen.
yes, but MJ didn't know Peter was Spider-Man. They weren't dating, but
In Spider-Man 3, that's she got kidnapped
uh huh,
by Harry, and
uh
she
huh.
knew that he was Spider-Man.
Harry didn't kidnap her.
Yes.
Venom
Yes,
did.
she did.
Eddie did.
Well,
All Harry did was manipulate her. Made her
they
think
worked
that he
together.
was a. Made. No, he didn't. Goblin
Dude,
never worked with
I
Venom.
swear. No, I swear. Goblin Jr.
Didn't work with Venom. He hung out with her. He
called
made.
MJ
Yes.
and then said, "Meet me by the bridge" or something.
Okay, wait. He might have threatened her. I think he did threaten her, but he didn't kidnap her. He told her to break
Well,
it off, call things off with Peter. I don't remember what he
overall,
said.
she got kidnapped by the same
Yes,
reason
yes, but no
that he
one
was
said
Spider-Man.
Peter. No one said don't. What did she do at the end of the second Spider-Man movie?
I haven't seen the second one.
She ran away from her wedding to go be with Peter.
That seems like a douchebag thing.
She knew what she was getting into.
Yeah, so
He
did Gwen Stacy though.
But Peter Parker was told not to. Her father, as a dying wish, said do not get her involved. And he got her involved
Well, her
anyways.
father was kind of a douchebag. Let's be honest.
Douchebag or not, he was a cop. He was a respected police officer. I'm not even Spider-Man, but if someone said, "Hey, dude, don't get my," if I was Spider-Man and some dude said, "Yo, don't get my daughter involved," as their dying wish, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to do that. That's I'm Spider-Man. I'm better than that.
I have to rewatch all these old clips.
Don't worry, we're gonna watch them all this weekend. But that's my conflict between Andrew Garfield. That's why I don't like Andrew Garfield. He just seems too. I can't think of any word but cocky. Unless I'm going to say he seems like a dickhead. Which, in the end, he does. No offense to you. I understand he's your favorite Spider-Man. And I also get very defensive when people talk ill about Tobey Maguire. Because he is my favorite Spider-Man. But if Tobey Maguire went up to MJ's father, who didn't care about her in the first place, and he said he was dying in Peter's arms, and he said, Don't get her involved. He wouldn't. Actually, he does. When she meets him at that parlor, and the second Spider-Man, she says, "Do you love me?" He thinks about it and he tells her no. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that he says somewhere like he can't have that kind of relationship because he fears that, like, if people find out, it puts them in danger.
Yeah, no, I remember that. But then
I
why does he continue to date her in Spider-Man 3? So I don't get.
Because she doesn't care. She tells him, "I don't care. I love you." Which is the same thing that Gwen Stacy does. I agree, but it goes back to character. Peter Parker was told, as a dying wish from this woman's father, "Do not do it," and he did it anyways. To me, that's not very Spider-Man. Douchebags do that. Scumbags do that. People who drink Monster and call themselves Kyle do that. Tobey Maguire told the woman he loved, well, didn't really know he loved, but said he loved, since a child, "No, I don't love you," just to keep her safe. And she had loved him before she found out he was Spider-Man. And she loved Spider-Man before she found out it was Peter. When she found out they were the same person, I'm sure she had to soak them panties out for like a solid hour and hang dry them outside. I guarantee it. That's like the best of both worlds. That's like finding out I'm Spider-Man, Josh. Are you watching more movie clips, Josh? Take the awkward silence as yes. Krabner, you there?
Yeah.
Were you watching movie clips again? Or are you talking to your mom?
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is that's a defining character is a big thing with me, and that's why I'm giving Tom Holland the benefit of the doubt because I understand we're getting a younger Spider-Man with Tom Holland. We're getting a much younger Spider-Man. He's still in school after like 3 movies. Harry graduated movie 1. Not well, Harry. Toby graduated movie 1. Uh, Andrew Garfield was graduating at the beginning of the second movie. Like we're getting the youngest version of Spider-Man we've seen yet, and we're getting to see his confliction between being like, well, man, I want to be Spider-Man, but it's really starting to affect my personal life. Like I want to go on vacation. I want to be a normal kid for a couple weeks. That was stripped away because he's Spider-Man.
I
And
don't like.
we got to see him be like, but come on, like we got to see that struggle between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. We don't get to see that often.
I don't like that he gets everything handed to him by Tony Stark.
And I understand you don't like that reasoning. But then again, a lot of people get a lot of things handed to them by Tony Stark.
He gets okay. He gets Edith, right?
Okay.
Then he goes and gives it to a guy that he barely knows that he talked to for like an hour in a
Yes, and
bar.
that's a childish thing. That's another Peter Parker going by his good sense. Like good he's trying to see if he has a good that's him trusting. That's a trust thing. That's Peter Parker trusting. He wasn't like it's hard to explain. That's what I'm saying. You get to see his flaws. You get to see him fight between being Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Everybody makes mistakes. That was one of his. Sure, he gets quite a bit of mistakes. I understand that. He gets everything handed to him, such as Edith,
Like
such as his suits, such as he's probably gonna end up with one owning Stark Industries if Pepper don't want it.
like in Far From Home, he gets stranded and hit by a train, and then just calls Happy, and then he just gets picked up by a fucking plane, basically.
Okay, well, who gets hit by a train in Spider-Man and then every other Spider-Man movie has taken place in New York. He was in
I just don't like that
Germany?
he's so
No,
baby.
he was in France, Spain, somewhere like that. I don't remember. Germany was Civil War, but he's a child. What would you do, Josh, if you got hit? Well, the same thing happened to me when I broke my leg. First person I
Oh
called
my.
was my mom.
Okay, but there's
I'm
like
19. I'm 19, and I called an adult when I broke my leg. He was hit by a train. He called an adult he could trust
and barely had a scratch.
because he's Spider-Man. That's the perks of being Spider-Man. You take a little bit of damage, you don't take it. It's like having feather fall. It's just I understand where you're coming from. I have my ifs about like I'll see something that Tom Holland does and I'll be like, I don't know about that. Like when he when he was pulling that come on, when he argues with Tony, when he pulled that boat together. I liked how like I said, I'll always argue. I like how he has that conflict between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but I didn't like how he went about complaining about it. That seemed a little too childish to be like and that's where Tony Stark was like, "All right, well, give me the suit. You're obviously not mature enough to
And
have
it
it if you're going to
seems
sit here
like
and complain like this."
and it seems like he doesn't. We know Ben, Uncle Ben does exist in that universe and did die, but it just seems not to affect him at all.
Or it happened a while ago and he got over it just like Peter Parker did and all of the other ones.
Yeah, but it still changes them, you know.
But we don't know what Tom Holland was like before. So we don't know if it changed him.
I mean, he hasn't shown anymore. He hasn't like basically even mentioned it at all.
Because that's a traumatic experience in his life. I don't talk about my grandfather dying. I'm not Katara. He's not
Out of the
Katara.
3 movies on Tobey like the Raimi trilogy, it seems like there's more. Like
Because we watched it happen. That was his origin. We got the origin version. We got to see it happen. That tied into the end of the story. Flint Marko ended up being the one who shot Uncle Ben, and that was the enemy in the third one. So they got to bring that all the way back and bring up those feelings in Peter to give him a drive for the movie. Give him the anger, to give him the reason to put on the symbiote. Everything was derived from that.
yeah,
We're
it
not.
changed his character.
Look what happened when Tony Stark died. Look at how that changed Peter Parker. The things he said when he was talking.
Like, I'm talking about like his actions. Like, how did it actually change him?
We can't tell. We don't know what kind of person he was beforehand.
No,
We don't know.
I'm talking about Tony Stark.
Oh, when Tony Stark, I would say he. It's hard to say because
it should have impacted him way more.
why would you say that?
Because that was his basically father figure.
No
That
offense,
gave
it's a
him
poor
everything.
that's a poor father figure to have.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark is a very poor father figure to have.
That gave-
Up until Endgame, I couldn't see Tony Stark being a father. He wasn't very father-like. He was more or less the lines of manager-like. He gave him his suit. He gave him the fame. He did anything that he did like a manager would, not like a father. A father would sit you down and tell you what you got is good enough.
Mentor.
Okay, that's a mentor. He took that very emotionally hard. When he was talking and monologuing about how he sees him everywhere and it just destroys him and it upsets him. We can only
They brought him up for one scene.
we can only assume that Peter knew Tony for how many years? 2, maybe 3. By the time Far From Home came out, so we can only assume he had so much time. It wasn't like Uncle Ben. It's not gonna have a detrimental like life shifting moment. It's not, and not everybody's Andrew Garfield, Josh. He's not gonna stop being Spider-Man just because someone he cared for died. He realizes that he realized he's got to be the bigger man. He's got to realize like
Bigger man.
Yes, I'm upset. Tony Stark dying detrimentally affects my life. But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be Spider-Man. I'm still gonna be Toby. I'm still gonna be Peter Parker.
Be a little more mature, right?
It's hard to say because in Far From Home, there's a lot of change. That one kid that I don't know. He he still acts like a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, however old he is. He's himself.
How does he change, you say?
This is hard. I don't really, like I said, I'm iffy on the whole Tom Holland thing, but if I think about it, I'm sure I'll figure it out. So in the first one, he was very, when we first met him, he was very follow the instructions. When we first meet him in Civil War, he does what he's told, and he fights back very little. The only time we see him really say no, 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 no is when Tony's telling him to sit down, like we're done, you're out of the fight. It's the only time we really see him like kind of like no, 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 no. In Homecoming, we see him like push back a lot, and he tells them he's like no, like there's a guy out here and no one's taking care of him. Like what are you guys doing? I'm gonna handle this. Don't tell me to sit back. Like that's him kind of like putting it out there like he's gonna do what he wants when he wants. Like he doesn't want to just do little things like bank robberies. And then in Far From Home, after everyone dies, he realize he you kind of see him thinking before he just does. Except for the whole glasses thing. The glasses, I thought that was a little bit of a stupid thing to do. So abrupt, but like I didn't like how he was like, oh, I would like. I don't remember how he said it. I think he said like, oh, I wish we could just destroy that kid. And then the Edith glass was like destroying kid, and that was just an accident. That one, like, you can't really say he did that on purpose. Sure, should have been a mistake that should have been avoided. Yes, but at the end of the day, he's still 15. He's got a lot of room for change. He's a high schooler student that makes poor decisions. Yes, should he be making better decisions as a superhero, turning into adult? Yes, I agree with you there. He does a lot of childish things for wanting as much responsibility as he does. But as I've been saying the entire time, I like the fact that they're doing with Tom Holland that they didn't do fully with Peter Parker as Tobey Maguire, and pretty much not at all with Andrew Garfield. They're showing that he makes mistakes. He's still a child.
Well, Tobey Maguire did make mistakes.
He did. And that's why I said they didn't do it a lot, though.
No, I mean Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, you're right. He dropped the pass that should have been a touchdown. And I'll take that to the bank.
He said he didn't.
I know why he didn't.
What?
Because he isn't as good as Toby.
I'm so confused.
I was talking about the catch, the
No, you said he didn't make any mistakes.
No, I said he didn't. They didn't show the struggle between Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield. That's a mistake they made.
Oh.
They made the mistake of not showing him as like Peter Parker and Spider-Man, like the duel of the fates. They did a little bit with Tobey Maguire when he was like, well, I had to think about this, and a little bit about a lot in Spider-Man 2 when he lost his powers for a bit and he went around eating donuts, letting raindrops hit his head. And then in Spider-Man 3,
he also only had 2 movies. We don't know what else he had in store for him.
There's a reason he had 2 movies.
You can. Well, he wasn't the best writing either.
Neither was the first 2. Look at the dance scene, Josh. Come on, it all stems from the Toby dance scene.
But I think that Peter Parker would have a major change, like in the third one, where he decides to take on the responsibility of Spider-Man.
And I agree. We don't know what happened. There could have been a lot more to his character. There could have not have been. But the fact of how he performed in the first 2 movies obviously sent some kind of message towards the way of producing, and they stopped making his movies. There's an obvious reason I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Okay, besides the promise thing, are you sure that it was his fault that she was there, though? Sure she really just didn't get kidnapped? Because Harry knew that that's the girl he liked.
Well, he wouldn't have known if that was the girl he liked if he didn't like her.
Well, they were friends, though.
If he stayed away.
That's just not fair, then.
But I'm saying that's... No, I'm talking about him and Gwen. If him and Gwen would have stayed away from each other, he would have distanced himself. He would have never gotten involved in the life of Peter Parker or Spider-Man. Harry wouldn't have known.
Harry is his best friend, though. He would have known.
So?
Like, you tell your best friend everything, like...
Yeah, but you don't say, "Oh my God, yo, Harry, I know because you're gonna be a villain." You keep her out of your life. That's that.
Yeah,
Sure,
but I'm saying like
I'm saying, Josh. I'm answering your question. He
no,
would not
no,
have known. Harry would not have known that Peter would have liked her if he just didn't. If Peter would have just
that
left it
doesn't make
at that.
sense.
If Peter would have just left
That's
it
like
at that.
saying it's like saying, oh, in Spider-Man 3, MJ wouldn't have gotten kidnapped if Peter didn't like her. That
She
makes no
wouldn't
sense.
have. That's not that
Yeah, I
she
mean,
wouldn't
yeah, you're
have.
right, but like that's not the character. That's not.
That's not the character. That's my point I'm trying to get. I don't like his character.
That's with bro. What, that makes no sense.
That's why I like the movies. I just said that. I don't mind the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I don't like Andrew Garfield's character. That's my problem.
No, I'm saying like he has
If
like
he would
he's
have kept his
allowed to like
promise,
Gwen Stacy,
okay? If he
no
would
matter
have
what.
kept his
He
promise,
did. Either
okay?
way, he couldn't have kept her out of it because his friends knew that he liked her. It's not that
But
hard.
Harry did it. Harry was in Europe or something like that, wasn't he?
No,
Where was Harry in the first one? They said he was on like he was at some other school or something like that, wasn't he?
he went to a private school.
Yeah, something like that. But it was he
He was
didn't
in the
know that
second
he
one.
liked him. He didn't like him. He didn't. She didn't know that until I think either he told him or he saw him with her. I don't remember that. I don't remember that exact scene. How he knows. I obviously know that Harry Osborn in the first one knows that Tobey Maguire is in love with Mary Jane because they're best friends. They go to the same school. They talk all the time. Like they know. And that's how Green Goblin kidnaps her in the first one. Because when he comes back from that dinner, he he
Seems like
tells
MJ gets kidnapped a lot, huh?
well MJ got kidnapped twice, I think. Three
Three
times? Three times?
movies.
3 times in 3 movies?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That was the risk that he took, and he didn't want to. He didn't want to like her. He told her, "No, I don't love you. Like I don't like you." Like he told her that because he wanted to try to save her. Did it work? Not really. Because there were people that knew he loved her. And that was a hard thing to deny. Aunt May said it every single time they saw each other. "Oh, you loved that girl since you were 8 years old." James Franco was his best friend growing up and in high school. Of course he knows. I'm surprised she's the only one who didn't know until he finally told her when he was holding that wall up, and she's like, "You do love me." And he goes, "Yeah." Oh yeah, when he's holding the wall up, he goes, "You remember when you said
Did you
I
see? You know how
what?
you didn't say Andrew Garfield was awkward? I sent you moments of him being awkward.
Wait, what?
I sent you moments of him being awkward.
Andrew Garfield being awkward? You mean when he creepily takes pictures of Gwen Stacy? Unlike the absolute
No.
Chad Tobey Maguire who says, "Can I take your photo?" He's just a gentleman. And then he asks her to dig on this. But like there's the scene where I understand what you mean by him not being awkward, but it almost seems like it's too pushed on.
If
It's
you want to
forced
see,
onto us.
if you want to see
His
like an
awkwardness,
asshole for
his
not
awkwardness is too forward. When like his Uncle Ben's like, "Oh, I'm his parole officer."
Tobey Maguire was dating MJ at the time and kissed Gwen Stacy right in front of her.
He wasn't dating her.
Yes, he was. It was in the third movie.
No, he wasn't dating her. So what happened was they went to
No.
no.
Either
Listen.
way, they both liked each
Oh,
other.
oh, oh, oh! You mean when he was
Actually,
Spider-Man?
no. No.
When he was Spider-Man? Is that what you're talking about? The scene where he
Yes,
was
this
upside
is
down
their
and he
first
kissed her?
time.
No, it's not.
That's their kiss,
No,
though.
it's yes, and I understand that. Yes, I didn't but that's what made that movie. That's what put the plot behind the movie.
And then has the balls to marry, ask her to marry her.
That's what
Marry
made
him.
the flaws, though. That was Peter's flaws.
Okay, and Andrew's flaws was not being able to keep her out of the way.
But that didn't get her killed.
It's still a flaw, though. I feel like
His
you're just
flaw.
riding Toby's dick.
Okay, may that as be. He's my favorite Spider-Man, but I've got reasons for it, and I'm explaining myself, unlike you.
What do you mean?
You're
I
not
already
explaining
explained
yourself.
myself at the beginning of
No,
the fucking
no. You're
thing.
explaining yourself by saying, "I don't remember. I have to rewatch the videos." I haven't watched the movies in a hot minute, and I'm explaining every single thing to you. I'm explaining
Darren.
everything you bring up, Josh. There's not a single thing
I
you can't say that I
explained
can't
why
explain,
I
except
liked
for
him
Tom
at the
Holland.
beginning of the fucking thing. What are you
No,
talking about?
I'm talking about. Okay, then why is Andrew Garfield perceived as such a dick?
No, I'm
Why?
asking about the fucking. If I use my favorite, what?
I wasn't talking about that.
That's what you just said.
You just said I'm riding Tobey Maguire's dick. Okay, correct? Because I'm
Yes, and then you
saying
said,
this and this and this and this.
and
Okay,
then you said,
I
well, I don't.
understand that. I don't. I have reasons for why I do, and I'm
So
explaining
why?
everything to you. I'm also telling you why I don't like Andrew Garfield, and you can't disprove the reasons why I'm saying it.
Well, yeah,
That's
because
why
I
it
like
sounds
Tobey
like I'm
Maguire
riding
as
his
well.
dick. It sounds like that because I
I don't.
don't like Andrew Garfield, and I already said I don't know a lot. I've watched Tom Holland, but I don't watch him as religious as I do with Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man. I will watch him. If someone says, you want to watch Far From Home and Homecoming and Civil War and Infinity and stuff like that for Spider-Man, or do you want to watch the first three Spider-Man movies with Tobey
Like,
Maguire? I'm going to say it's
the
Tobey
the
Maguire.
reason why is because, like, I don't have a problem with Tobey Maguire at all.
And that's you. I don't, that's your opinion.
So
You
I
like,
can't really say, oh, well, I can't really have counter arguments. The only
but
thing I
that's what
really
I'm
have
asking.
counter arguments for is Tom Holland.
And I can tell. That's why I'm having such. I'm telling you why I don't like Andrew Garfield. I don't like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I did not mind the movies. The story was okay. I liked the visual effects. I liked the way he swang through the city with no care in the world. I liked that a lot. He wasn't as stiff
I
and as
hate this fucking Prowler fight, dude.
Tobey Maguire swang with a little bit of freedom, but not as much as Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield swang like he was a teenager. I don't think we see a lot
Well,
of Tom Holland swinging, do we? We don't get a lot of
no,
Tom Holland swinging montages we did before. But like
I
we get,
hate this.
I'm telling you my reasons for why I like who I like and on why. And it only seems like you can tell me that Andrew Garfield's your favorite because you just like him more. You can only tell me
No,
why you
I
don't like Tom
explained that I like his
Holland.
Peter Parker more.
You
At the beginning of the thing, I explained. That's
I
what I was trying to say.
and I understand that. But
But
when
then
you
you
said
just said I didn't.
when you said I'm riding Tobey Maguire's dick, I then said you're not explaining to me how I'm wrong. I was explaining why I don't
You're
like,
not
and
though.
I was comparing Andrew Garfield to Tobey Maguire. I'm skipping Tom Holland. I pushed him to the side. I am comparing them.
That's
I
why
am I
I
am
don't
saying
think we should do that. I don't think we should compare them because I think we should like on their stand because they're different. They're different characters. They're from different like.
and I understand that. I get that he's playing a different Peter Parker. I personally didn't like Andrew Gar, and I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. I
Yeah.
can't. I know that, and I'm okay with that. I know there's people out there that don't like Tobey Maguire. Sure, do I get a little heated when people say Tobey Maguire is the worst Spider-Man? Yeah, I do. But I have reasons to deny that. I can argue with people and tell them, well, he was this and that, and he showed this and he did this while also able to do this and
It's
this and
just
that. Whereas with Andrew Garfield, it just seems like you can say it's his version of Spider-Man, and the reason Gwen Stacy dies is not really all his fault. I say it is. I say it's 100% his fault. I say if he would have just knocked it off and he would have done as Captain
but
Stacy
then he
said,
complained when he stopped as Spider-Man. But then he complained when he did.
he didn't have to stop being Spider-Man. He didn't stop being Spider-Man. He didn't have to. He
No,
didn't
no.
say stop being.
Remember, he wanted
Huh?
to be with Gwen Stacy instead of being Spider-Man.
Okay.
But then he ended up choosing Spider-Man over Gwen Stacy.
When?
I think in the second movie.
No, in the second movie, she died and he went into like this deep depression and he stopped being Spider-Man. I don't know what the timeline was. And then he
No,
watched her speech
this was after
after she died.
after
Af-
Captain Stacy died.
Captain Stacy died in the first one. Okay?
Yeah.
And immediately after, not in the second one, at the end of the first one, he literally says, those are the best promises to break.
Yeah, I feel like he wanted to be Peter Parker, not Spider-Man anymore.
And then in the first scene of the second one, he's already Spider-Man. The first scene, he's jumping off of the roof as Spider-Man. He didn't make a choice. He just chose to be Spider-Man and date Gwen Stacy anyways. I don't like that. To figure it out. But he wasn't dating her. She was dead already.
That's like okay. That's like
When
saying
when he stopped the Rhino, Gwen Stacy was already dead. So there's no longer a choice between being Peter Parker and being with Gwen Stacy or being Spider-Man. There's no longer that
stop.
choice.
The Rhino was at the beginning of the second movie.
No, he's not. He's stealing the juice
Because
at
it
the
was at
beginning
the
of
end
the
of the
second one.
first.
No, he's at the end of the second one.
No, at the end of the first movie, it shows him battling Rhino.
No, that's the second one.
No, it's the first one. At the end.
No.
At the end.
Josh, I'm
First movie,
gonna
I
put
swear.
money on this. I'm gonna put money on this. In the beginning of the first one, he chases Rhino down in the chemical vehicle. And then they pull him over, he gets captured, they go through the whole movie, Gwen Stacy dies, he goes into his deep depression, and then he listens to her speech. And then he does, and she gives a whole speech about, like,
Let me ask you
things
this.
happen, life happens, stuff does this, you gotta just push through life. It pulls him out of his depression, he hears the Rhino's back, the little kid goes underneath the rope and pretends to be Spider-Man,
There.
the Rhino I'm explaining to you what happens, he laughs, Peter Parker takes the thing, pushes the kid to the side, he grabs the microphone, and he's like, he says some stupid quip. He's like, oh, you want me to come down there so you can kill me? And the Rhino says, yes. And he's like, okay, be right there. And then he jumps down the car, and he's like, how I missed this. And he jumped in the air, grabbed the sewer grate, went to go hit him with it. The movie ends. That was the end of the career of Andrew Garfield. That is scene for scene. Go ahead, now that I'm done.
Jesus fuck, dude.
I'm telling you, you're wrong. You're wrong, Josh. That's a fact. You are wrong in that situation. He fights the Rhino at the end of the movie after Gwen Stacy's dead.
Can I ask my question now?
Go ahead, ask it.
What would Tobey Maguire do if he did the exact same thing that Andrew Garfield did with MJ?
I can't answer you because that's a different Spider-Man.
You don't think he would stop being Spider-Man?
I can't say if he would or not. Look what happened when Uncle Ben died.
What
When
did
he died,
do?
he became Spider-Man.
What did he do when Aunt May died?
Huh?
Or got kidnapped?
He became Spider-Man.
You just said that to fucking
Wait.
Uncle Ben.
Wait, what? Wait, Aunt May didn't get kidnapped.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
Yeah, she did.
by Doc Ock?
Yeah.
When he picked her up as a hostage and climbed the building? He saved her.
Yeah. But I was saying that, like, he should have. Wouldn't he have acted different?
What do you mean? Just explain your question a little more so I can answer you, because I don't understand what you're asking.
It's a hard question, because, like, he should have. I felt like. Okay, you may hate me for saying this. I don't really care at this point, but I feel like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man is like too
Mature?
No.
Blah.
What do you mean by blah?
He's not, like, quippy, like, blah.
No, I feel like he has a lot of plot armor. I think that's what it was.
Explain. I don't know what plot armor is. He's got a lot of. Does that mean like he's got a lot of reason for doing what he does?
No, it's like he's protected by the It's kind of like you know how Batman plot armor works.
No, I don't know what plot armor is. At least I might. I just don't know it has the terminology of plot armor.
Plot armor is like you're in a stressful situation of the story, and it gets done because you need it to get done, like how Batman, like, almost beat Superman.
Okay, so it gets done because it has to. You mean?
Yeah.
So what situation are you putting?
Spider-Man. Like, I feel like out of the 3 times MJ got kidnapped, and he always, like, gets her back, and, like, always defeats the villain, or, like...
Because he's a superhero. That's how superheroes are portrayed. Superheroes always save the day for the most. Like old Spider-Man comics, he always saved the day. That's just how he was portrayed. That's Spider-Man.
More, because he has those flaws. and it's
Yes, it
not
was a very
perfect.
dramatic. It was a very dramatic tell, which I agree. I like the movies. I will always say I like the movies. I didn't like the decision to keep talking let's say we take that out, okay? Let's say he does stop talking to her, okay? He cuts her
Okay.
out entirely. Who dies?
Well,
Who
she
dies?
would still die, I feel.
How?
Because I feel like Harry would still kidnap her and use her.
Why? He has no reason to at this point. If Peter leaves her out of his life and doesn't love her and doesn't associate her and keeps her out of sight, Harry has no
Aunt May.
reason to. Okay, then he's got Aunt May. Aunt May dies.
Hmm.
He may never come out of that.
Yeah, I don't think he should,
Okay,
honestly.
and that's a very respected response. But at the end of the day, like you said, who else is going to stop the
Okay.
Rhino? Your
He's
words. Who else is going to stop the Rhino?
he's more human, I would say.
I would almost say Tom Holland's more human. If you said we're not going to push him out of the side and put him up the gas, I would say Tom Holland's more human. He's more vulnerable. Like you said, you didn't like how when he got hit by a bus and all that stuff, he called an adult he could trust and someone he knew would help him. That's human. Knowing knowing that if you feel pain is a sign of life is human. Knowing that you're not the only one who has to do it, I didn't like that about Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire. He thought he was the only one who could do it. That was a big reason. He always felt self. It was very self-centered. Listen, watching Tobey Maguire play because he only wanted to do everything by himself. That was a big reason he didn't want to get anyone involved. He was a loner. Whereas as soon as Andrew Garfield could tell what's her face, he did. He told her because he wanted to. Toby told her because it was kind of circumstantial.
I'm just trying to. I've never done this before. Like, I'm trying to think of things I could say about Toby. And it's really hard. It really is.
It is very hard because he's. I can't say he's the perfect Spider-Man, but he's. They fill in a lot of the reasons why he does what he does, and that's good. That's part of being a good story write. That's covering up your tracks. That's like if they would have given us a reason, any latch of hope as to why Andrew Garfield decided he was going to break that promise and date her anyways. Any. Just to kind of give us a reason as to why he did it besides the fact that I just want to. Any.
I feel like that's not like.
That's not Spider-Man. But that's what happened.
That's like the story. Yeah, that's like the not.
It's bad story
That's not
writing.
Yeah.
But that's what made Andrew Garfield Spider-Man him, and that's why I don't like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. If Tobey Maguire were in those movies, I wouldn't like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Because if he had to play by those rules and do that script, I wouldn't like that Spider-Man. I don't like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I really don't like the way he portrays Peter Parker, but that's just because of the way he looks. If that has
Okay.
any way on what you say. I just don't like... it contributes the whole thing. Like, I also don't like how... No homo, how good Tom Holland looks. Tom Holland looks like he's a very well-cleaned kid. Tobey Maguire looks frumpy as hell. Like, his face is just so weird.
I'm gonna ask this.
What's up?
So, what about Miles?
Miles doesn't have a movie to stand on, therefore I can't contribute any facts to him. And I'm not going off video games. And I really don't think we have enough time.
You can go off into the Spider Verse.
What am I supposed to say? Alright, fine. You want me to really go off on him? Okay. Let's talk about character change. How come he became... How was he able to become Spider-Man like that? Like
Well,
that.
he didn't.
He listened to his dad. He did the same thing Andrew Garfield did. Powers. He didn't know what he was doing. His dad came over, gave him a speech, and then boom, powers. His dad gave him a speech, and then boom, he was able to fully control his powers. Maybe he needed love and affection and maybe someone to tell him that he's not alone. Sure, maybe he needed that to fully understand what he had to do. But they didn't explain that. They just said, Miles, I want to let you know I love you, and if I've been too hard on you, da 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 da, and then boom, he was full on Spider-Man. He had full control of his Venom strike, his
Well,
invisibility. I didn't like that at all. He
you
went
could
the
look
whole
at it
movie
like this.
confused. What's up?
Maybe it was because of um like a big stress relief, you know, like you're finally in control, like a lot's off your shoulders. Like he just learned about the multiverse and shit, and is getting bombarded by other Spider-Man saying he's not good
So
enough.
you think he needs like that? Everything's gonna be okay in the world, kind of thing. That
Well,
he
not
needs
that.
that,
I'm saying like it's stressful to be
and going to space isn't saving the universe isn't.
a.
You can't use stress as a reason for not having
I'm
your full
saying
abilities if you can't if other people go through the same thing. I think Tom Holland and Miles in the Spider Verse are the same age. I think I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I think they're both like lower high school students.
I think Miles is a little bit younger.
A little bit. Okay, well even if so, I get it. Learning that kind of stuff, but Peter and Tom Holland just learned the same thing while on a field trip, while with the girl he really likes, while being attacked by things called elementals that he didn't know were fake.
Okay, that wasn't like his first day of being Spider-Man, though. You know?
But I agree. But he did the same kind of thing in that movie. You got to realize Tom Holland also just bam, and then automatically just kind of awoke his spider sense and used it.
It's kind of like how he was in Civil War. He
Explain.
wasn't
I don't
able
get
to
that one.
perform that well,
He
so
held his
like,
own. He held his own. Get out of here.
Tony was like, "All right, you're done." That's what the
Well, that's because he
Spider-Man
got
did.
that's because he got thrown by Ant Man. That was
That's
him.
like,
That was Tony's decision, though. Tony pulled him out. Tony.
so did the I forgot his Earth Spider-Man.
What?
Um, that's what the older
Oh, Peter
Spider-Man
B.
told me exactly.
Peter B. Parker.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah.
did. He told him, "You're not
It
fighting
is.
this one because you can't control your powers." And then his dad comes up and apologizes for being so strict. And hey, Miles, just want to let you know I do love you and this,
He
that, and
also
this. And then
talked
what?
Aunt May and got advice from
She
her. For
does
sure.
she does he really talk to her, or does she just come in and
Yeah.
he says, "Oh, it fits eventually," and they put on the suit? I didn't think they really talked because that's when they're playing the "What's Up Danger" song. I didn't think there was too much monologue in there.
It was like
I
a
just don't
little bit
remember.
in between that, I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember. Like I said, I don't pay too much attention to him. Really, it's an animated movie. I don't take those too serious. Like if we were to take animations into full
I feel like they
effect,
could do a good movie though.
I feel like they should keep Miles Morales animated due to the fact that it did so well. Eventually, you could bring along a live action Miles, but you
But
gotta
then
keep. I don't know how you could do it because there's so. I feel like you can't add too many Spider-Man, especially with the 2021 release. You're gonna bring in Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland, and then in Spider-Verse. If you want to somehow dump Miles Morales into it,
well
go
he's
ahead.
already in there.
Yeah, he's in the. He's not mentioned by name, but he's mentioned by alien. What's it called? Relative. When Prowler was like,
So
"My
that means
nephew live here,"
so yeah, that means also the Prowler's in there.
which I low key want to see because I like Donald Glover.
Maybe I feel like maybe they could maybe do he's already like when he
Oh,
I
I
feel
have
like he
I
would
have someone
be
on
a
my
good villain.
stream named Kudtumbumbadimbo.
I
Elbow
feel like
cough.
he could
What?
oh, you can maybe scream at me like this. I feel he would be a good partner for Tom Holland.
I don't think so. Because who's going to train him to be Spider-Man when he's not Spider-Man himself?
No, like when Tom Holland gets like ropes of it, I feel like they.
That could be a very long time, though. So we also could see maybe
I
Tom
feel like he
Holland having
doesn't
a lot
graduate
more
next movie.
movies, and
I'm pretty
then
sure he
boom.
graduated next movie.
I don't think he graduates because remember they had the 5-year blip. So I don't think he graduates yet. I don't know though. Like I said, it's been a while. I don't understand how things work. But yeah, like it's hard to
I
say
thought
with
they would
Miles
they
because
would
you
make
can't really
Miles.
argue. You can't argue a Miles argument yet because we don't have a lot on him besides a video game and a movie. A video game in
Well,
which you
you could do the
control.
comics,
You could do the comics, but no offense, I'm not in school anymore and I don't really want to read.
but I feel
But
like
if
that
we,
he could be an underground Spider-Man, like Tom Holland doesn't know about him yet or something.
that's a hard thing to keep out of the off the internet. Like, Tom Holland has all that equipment now, so if you see a Spider-Man running around in a hoodie and some jean shorts, it's not gonna be the same guy.
Or maybe,
Hmm?
no, or maybe he's chilling with Doctor Strange.
No, I don't think they're gonna bring him in yet. I really don't.
I
I
would like
think
to see it.
Miles is still owned. I think Peter Parker was given to
No, they
Marvel.
just um, Disney just made a big deal with Sony.
So they get everything Spider-Man
Yeah,
related, Spider-Woman,
all the
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Man. Yeah, everything's
Okay,
coming to Disney Plus.
okay. I was just wondering.
Like in a
Um,
while.
uh, I wouldn't be surprised if No Way Home came out on on Disney Plus. But anyways, that's the argument. There is no such thing as the perfect Spider-Man. There's favorites. There's reasons why you have the favorites. There's also a lot of reasons why you have who you like and who you don't. I
It's a
explained to you.
close, like
It's
it's close between. You can tell how I can't really like
I could diss
bash on
all of them.
Toby that much because I like him. I really do like
I
him.
like
I
Toby.
just
I like Toby too. And there's a lot of things about him I
it's
said I
just
didn't
like
like.
Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker more.
And I understand that. I understand that. Just as you understand that I like Tobey Maguire. I don't understand why you don't like Tom Holland so much, but that's just I understand why you don't, but I don't understand it in the same sense because like everything was kind of given to the other two as well. Like Peter Parker didn't have to. Peter Parker, that narrows it down.
I just don't
Toby
feel like
Maguire didn't have to make web shooters because he was giving them. Like they,
I just don't feel like he didn't have enough as enough of rough life.
you mean besides the fact getting hit by a train, left in the middle of nowhere, you don't know where you are? That kind of
And
rough
calling
life.
happy,
Getting beat up and
getting a new
betrayed
suit,
and
getting a free new suit.
getting beat up and betrayed and doing wrong stuff and dying.
I mean, that was a
That's not rough.
50-50 shot.
That's not rough.
He didn't really die.
He died. He was blipped. He was gone. He was off the face of the earth. He didn't exist anymore. He died. There's 5 years without Peter Parker in the world.
And look, they did just fine.
No, they didn't. Remember when Ant-Man was walking across the streets and there was more garbage than anything? Yeah, that's not fine. Alright. Alright, Gabner, how do you feel leaving off on these notes? You think you're good with this? Give us some, we'll watch the movies this weekend and then we'll come back next week and pop off some more about now we got facts.
Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know.
I doubt it, but maybe it'll change mine. Maybe I'll see some new things, some fillers I didn't see before as to why Andrew Garfield did what he did.
I feel like you're just so caught up that Andrew replaced Toby. That's blocking your judgment.
All right, well, we'll figure it out. We'll watch them all again. We'll get rid of our biased thoughts, and we'll watch them all with an open mind, and then we'll talk about it after the movie watching, and then in the week we'll drop a new episode, and we'll talk about it some more. Cool beans?
Sure.
Sure, or yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I mean, it is a plan.
It is a plan. That's a great thing to hear. All right, well, this has been a good. I don't know how long it's been. Probably like close to an hour. An hour and 15 minutes. So this has been fun. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, I'm Darren and this is Josh. And, yeah, we're the webheads.
Oh my
See you
god.
next week.